Okay, welcome to another history lesson. So today we're looking at the significance of the excommunication of Elizabeth from the Catholic Church. Hello, this is Mr. Mack-Poole, Head of History. And you can see this badly lined up speech bubble there from Pope Pius V. And here we go. So he basically makes a huge statement with this excommunication. And really we need to understand what that word means. So to excommunicate means really to expel. So what the Pope did, Pope Pius V, he expelled Elizabeth I from the Catholic Church. Now, that word expulsion means to you probably think along school lines. You wouldn't be allowed to go to school anymore. However, in terms of the Catholic Church, it's a major deal. It's basically saying from a Catholic perspective that you're going to hell. And remember, hell was like an eternity for these people. And you have to remember, you have to get into this frame of mind. You need to use your imagination. Religion was absolutely everything to this society. It defined who you were in so many ways. Okay, so English Catholics, upon seeing this and hearing of this, would think this was a huge deal. And Protestants would think it was a big deal as well, politically. So religion is politics. Religion is law. Yeah, religion is absolutely everything at this time. Anyway, so let's get on with it. So the kind of context that we looked at last lesson, there was a Catholic rebellion in 1569. Obviously, we understand why that happened. It's in part because of the religious settlement which Elizabeth put in. So obviously, Thomas Percy, you had the Earls of Westmoreland, and you had the Earl of Northumberland, and it failed. Okay, so why did Pope Pius V excommunicate Elizabeth? All right, so number one, a very good reason, was that Mary Queen of Scots in 1568 comes to England. And we know why. She had all those marital problems. She'd had a second husband murdered by a third husband. She had faced Protestant rebellions. She needed to escape, and she came to England. However, just by being in England, her very presence creates a figurehead from which Northern Catholics in the North, wanted to use so they could restore England back to the Catholic faith. So Mary Queen of Scots in 1568, she sets a whole chain of events into motion. It's really fundamental to this course that you understand this. You can really look at this course as a rivalry between Elizabeth and Mary Queen of Scots. Anyway, this was part of the Catholic Church's wider counter-reformation. Don't think that the Catholic Church was only interested in England. Basically, the Protestant schism, the breaking of the Protestant and Catholic Church, that had really caught the Catholic Church on the back foot. And what had happened was that the Catholic Church had kind of really weighed things up. Of all right, we're going to show these Protestants who the real boss is, and it's the Catholic Church. And so they started to push back against these Protestant incursions into the Catholic faith. Okay. And the rise of the Northern Earls in 1569 showing there were some men willing to fight to restore Catholic rule. Perhaps this wasn't it. Perhaps with an incentive from the Pope, i.e., an excommunication of Elizabeth, they would be successful next time. Well, actually, we all know that didn't happen, but it did inspire other things. So, the Catholic Church, the reaction to the religious settlement. So, Pope Pius V, he issued his papal bull, which is called "Reigning on High." Okay, Regnans in Excelsis, and declared Elizabeth a heretic, which is basically a devil worshipper, someone who creates misleading narratives or misleading sermons or misleading messages around Jesus and the Bible. And he released Elizabeth's subjects from their allegiance to her. He said you could only be, you can't have two masters, so you can only have loyalty towards the church and not the Queen. Anyone who does have loyalty to the Queen was likewise excommunicated. Now, you might think, well, so what? But to these Catholics, being excommunicated for being loyal to Elizabeth would mean that they're going to hell for all eternity. So he puts Pope Pius V, puts Catholics in England in a real difficult place. And essentially, what he has, he writes in this papal bull that anyone who would kill Elizabeth would go to heaven, despite, the whole thou shalt not kill message in the Bible. But he basically puts a death sentence on Elizabeth, or tries to anyway. It isn't. successful, as we know. So in response, Elizabeth, who had thus far tolerated Catholic worship, now started to actively persecute Catholics in England for treason. She got a little bit paranoid. You can't really blame her because, you know, the head of the Catholic Church was, you know, really had it out for her. So anyway, moving on. Consequences of this excommunication. So this is a map of Europe in 1570 when the Pope excommunicated her. I just want to look at these kingdom, Holy Roman Empire, kingdom. Okay, so look, we've got these kingdoms that we got here. Okay, now in the north, they're generally Protestant, and in the south, they're generally Catholic. That's the way things kind of work, with one or two differences. But I just want to show you how many kingdoms there are. So there's this many kingdoms, yeah, but there's only one Pope, and the Pope has a sway of all these Catholic territories. Everyone in these territories who's Catholic, and they mostly were Catholics in these territories, they would listen to his, they would be on every single word. And the reason for this is in the Bible, Matthew 16:18, it stated, "Peter, you are the rock upon which I build this church, and the gates of hell shall not overcome it." These are the words of Jesus. So basically, Christians had kind of thought, well, there needs to be someone in charge of the church, God's representative on earth, the Pope. So you have to understand that the Pope is held in huge respect by Catholics. Okay, he's believed to be infallible. He can't make a mistake. Okay, he's a huge deal. So there are many kings, but there's only one Pope, and the Pope is really, at this point, the most powerful man in Europe, if not the world, really. That definitely could be argued. Another consequence is the fact that you have these plots which follow. So 1571, very quickly after his excommunication, you have these three plots. Okay, so is this a change in strategy from the Pope and Catholics? They know that the uprising didn't work, and therefore plots would be better. And finally, you have these longer-term consequences. So you have the excommunication. Sorry, not the excommunication. The execution even of Mary Queen of Scots in 1587. So what I'm talking about here is really a chain of events. So a factor in Mary Queen of Scots being executed could be the excommunication of Elizabeth. Okay, and then that execution of Mary Queen of Scots in 1587, which we'll get into much more detail about the plots and this execution in following lessons. But this then leads to the Spanish Armada. Okay, so I think that the Pope's excommunication of Elizabeth is a single factor. It isn't the determining cause. It's one of many causes, a factor in these two events playing out later. It fits into a chain of events which whips up sectarian, i.e. hatred between Catholics and Protestants, which echoes on throughout Elizabeth's early reign. Okay, and that is today's lesson. So thank you for tuning in. It is appreciated, and I hope you're all well and stay safe. So let's stop recording at this point.